The man took a picture of his wife, but she's wearing a fur coat in the picture. They thought it was a camera malfunction, but the wife pulled a coat out of an antique trunk. She ran to the window and posed, and that's exactly what she looks like in the photo. The men's jaws dropped. They decided to try again. This time the wife pressed the shutter on the front door, and in the photo a young man is pushing his way in. He's the woman's brother, but he can't be there at all. He's been arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison. The man senses something strange about the camera. Then there was a noise at the door, and it's the woman's brother. He had escaped from prison to join his sister. The couple was so surprised that they couldn't speak, because his posture was exactly the same as in the photo. They had a discussion. Since it can take pictures 5 minutes later, they decided to do something big with it. While the couple was still thinking about the future, her brother turned on the TV. There's a horse racing program on. The man suddenly stood up with excitement. Since they could know everything in 5 minutes later, if they go to bet on horse racing they'd be sure to win. So they gathered all the money they had and went to the racetrack to show off their skills. When they arrived, they counted the time and took a picture of the scoreboard. In a few moments, they saw the results. The number 6 horse had won. The men rushed to place their bets. Then the race begins. Number 6 starts slowly, but just before the wire, he suddenly accelerates to win the race. They're screaming with excitement, and the scoreboard looks just like the one in the photo. They decided to go ahead and bet. This time they've got a lot of money. All they had to do was take another picture. The money would be in their pockets. And so it went on, round after round. They bet more and more. All the judgments were accurate, and they're so busy counting the money. Back home at night, the men ordered a sports car. With this camera, the poor guys had finally turned the corner. Then the waiter came to take away the dishes. He was curious to see the camera on the table. The man told him to be careful not to break it, but the waiter said that after 10 pictures the camera would be unusable. What does that mean?
10 à la propriétaire. That means 10 to an owner.
The man was in a panic. Then he sends the waiter away. They started counting. 2 test shots in the room, and 6 more at the horse track. So they only had 2 more chances. The man decides to go for the big one tomorrow. The wife wants to save it for the future. The brother said he'd sell the camera. They get into an argument, and during the fight, they accidentally hit the shutter. Another wasted photo. The man was furious. When the picture came out, the wife seemed to be screaming.
You think she's screaming, Woodward? Tell you why she's screaming. She's screaming because somebody's trying to do something to her husband.
He pulls out a knife. Since the camera predicts something bad will happen, he might as well go ahead and do it himself. He pushed his wife away and stepped closer to her brother. They pushed to the window. Soon they were fighting. In the midst of pushing and shoving, they fell out of the window together. The woman also posed as in the photo. She was devastated by the loss of both of them.
However, we must muddle through these things. We must live with tragedy.
She picked up the camera and went to the window.
May you both rest in peace.
She's about to take the money and leave when the waiter comes in. It turns out he'd been listening in on the conversation. Then he was going to take the money for himself. The woman wanted to call the police. The waiter says she's harboring a fugitive, and the cops will come for her first. Then he swiped the loot. He even took the bag from her. He picked up the photos and said there were more than 2 bodies in there. When the woman tried to go to the window, she tripped over a wire and fell out.
Yes, there are more than 2 bodies down there. 1, 2, 3, 4.